going live. Oh, we are now. Oh, I get a big notification. It goes boom. You are live. That's nice.
Made you cry a little bit.
It did. I was really emotional then because anybody who's watched our streams so far for Tech Tuesday knows that I normally get quite confused. Like, are we live? We wait for a notification on our phones.
Frozen line.
Oh, yeah, no. You just froze. Oh, there you go. You've just caught up. Boom. We are live. So we are the Bolden Gamers, and welcome to Tech Tuesday, home of all of your tech news. At least I like to hope it's home of all your tech news. Now, bear with me 2 ticks whilst I just load up.
When you first said home there, it sounded like you said whom. Like you were going to use some proper grammar, which I don't understand. Who knows where you put the whom? Do you know? You're an author.
I do not know. My mouse is up there. So, yes, we have all sorts of bits and bobs for you. We've moved everything back over to YouTube as well, because it's basically where our audience is. So any questions you've got throughout the stream, throw them into the comments, and we'll do our best to answer those as we go through. So,
can I just say before we start, Sean?
Yes,
sorry.
You can.
I don't know if your phone started doing this, but whenever I go on a YouTube link through my phone, it asks me to make sure I'm not a robot.
Oh, really?
Is that you? Yeah, it's like, did yours do that?
I don't think so, no.
I've got robotic fingers. This is the thing.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, that's just discrimination, really.
It is.
What if a robot wanted to watch us? No.
Want to learn how to... Most robots are bald.
I don't know. There might be.
They don't have hair.
Right, are you in? Are you sorted? This is awkward. Yes. Brilliant.
I'm in.
Excellent. Well, yours is the first one up, one of your news things, so get up on it.
So this is just a rumour, you know, there's always loads of rumours before the new iPhone comes out, but apparently Apple is sticking with Lightning port over USB-C for the next phone. So you would have thought, like, for the feedback from this one, of them being like, oh yeah, we're gonna save the planet by changing the port, and then I can hear.
Yeah, you've probably got it on your phone or something. Yeah,
it is.
Well done.
So yeah, but they're keeping it for Lightning again, and I just wanted them to change it to USB Type-C. All I want is a USB Type-C world.
It would make zero sense for them to change to USB Type-C at this stage now, because the next thing that Apple are going to do, they're going to have a portless iPhone. That's pretty much the next step for them. And imagine how much that would annoy their fans and customers at the moment. If suddenly they went, hey, this year we've gone USB Type-C, and then next year they bring out a portless iPhone, it would just be like, why did you do that? And like you mentioned there, it's like, well, they're doing all this thing for the planet. How do you justify changing the port again? Realistically, there's going to be so much e-waste created from that.
I suppose if they do go portless for the next phone, bonus. But if they don't, it's going to be another... I mean, it's like the type of thing where you never... You know when you're waiting to meet someone, and then they're like, and you're like, you should have messaged. No, they're going to come. And then if you message when you first thought of messaging, it would have made sense. But because you've waited too long to do it, it doesn't make sense to do it now. Yeah,
it's definitely one of those situations where, at the moment, it's frustrating, because if you actually look at the Apple lineup, you've got MacBooks, iPad Pros on USB Type-C. Then
Which I both have.
Yeah, so then you've got your iPhones, your AirPods that obviously use Lightning as well. I'm just trying to think what else. There's a couple of other things. I think the new AirPods use Lightning. Things like the Apple Magic Mouse uses Lightning as well. So it just becomes really difficult without muddying the waters and everything. And the rumours seem to be that we're going to see MagSafe come back on the next MacBooks. And MagSafe is obviously available for the iPhones, but there's going to be a new version of that, which will probably go down as the bottom of it. So I would imagine we're going to see a new type of technology that will take over, and that's why they've not gone USB Type-C. But like you said, it would have made sense if they did it like 3 years ago, when like the iPad went across, because at the moment there's just too many ports.
Yes, and now, like you said, with the USB Type-Cs, if I'm going in, I need a USB Type-C for my MacBook. I could probably use the same one for the iPad, but I just want a different plug. Because of the high wattage. Then I need a Lightning one for my phone. There's 3 things.
Yeah.
Come on, Apple. You better be all like ecosystem and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
and it's
if they go
well.
portless, it makes sense.
It does make sense. I mean, portless is pretty much the way they're going to go. There's all sorts of patents out there, and it just looks like that is the direction that Apple will take the iPhones. I'm not overly enthusiastic about the idea of Apple going portless with the iPhones, just because, we did a video on this a couple of months ago, and there are benefits, obviously. There's less, at the iPhone, one of the biggest issues we ever saw with iPhones going faulty in store and not charging was it compacted all the dust into the bottom, and people had to scrape it out, and it just caused issues. So portless makes sense there. It becomes more water resistant because there's nothing to go in there. There's no damage to the port because people don't ram it in at the wrong angle, as just always seem to happen. But also as well, from a business perspective, just not having a physical data transfer and stuff like that. Just if it goes wrong, then what happens there? So I guess only time will tell, and fingers crossed. If they do it, I don't think they would do it without having a lot of contingencies in place.
Yeah.
So
I feel like if they do it, I wouldn't want the first model.
But that's kind of the thing anyway.
Let other people guinea pig.
Yeah,
I know, but I don't mind so much. But for something
as big as that,
I guess I would be like, I'll pass, guys.
Yeah. Well, I
Wait
guess
till next year.
We'll find out. Let us know in the comments, if you are an iPhone... In fact, if just phone users in general, would you be happy to have a completely portless device? Because other things as well, if you are, I don't know, any kind of creative professional, or not even a creative professional. We, for example, I plug my microphone into my iPhone to shoot the YouTube videos we do at the moment.
Yeah.
To suddenly not be able to do that unless you do it over Bluetooth, and then there's all sorts of issues that go wrong with that. So not being able to use accessories unless they're via Bluetooth, or Apple probably bring out some kind of smart connectors for the iPhone, so you'd have to pay an arm and a leg for accessories that work with the iPhone. It's a rabbit hole that's going to be interesting. So let us know in the comments. I think it's an interesting way forward, and it makes sense. Everything's going wireless, but I'm scared, Liam. I'm scared. Let's move on quickly before I...
for next one's another Apple one.
No!
Apple officially retire Music Memo, the Music Memo app. Do you know what that is?
No, I had no idea. I saw it in the notes. It's like, what?
I didn't know what it was until I saw this news. I was like, I'll look at it to see if it's worth going in Tech Tuesday. And if I knew about it, it's something I would have used a lot. Basically, Music Memo was an app where you could record a song on guitar or something, and it would transcribe the songs into the chords in the notes.
Oh.
So it was a recorder and a transcriber all in one, which for musicians, anyone just doodling things.
Okay.
It's really good. I was so annoyed now. I've never used it. I tried to download it. I got it I read the article on the day it was closing. I was like, maybe I can get it. No. So I feel like lots of people would be like us, just didn't know about it.
I was going to say, I have never seen... I saw it go in the notes, and I had never, ever heard of that. And that does seem really handy.
Yeah.
The amount of times I would kind of start writing a song, and then back when I was cool and in a band, and they'd be like, what chords are they? And I can't remember.
Yeah. And if you're anything like me, you do some music, and what chords are they? What notes are they? I'm like... I can't tell from my ear. So I'm just there trying to work it. And then you lose it, and it's just so annoying. And what Apple have said is, but we've got voice memos.
Yeah. Which, oddly enough, is what I always recorded my music into, voice memos, when I came up with an idea. So, wow, Apple's advertising apparently for that one just didn't exist.
I wish more people knew about it, because definitely wouldn't retire. That sounds so good. I would have paid for that.
Okay, well, your task for next week then is to research an app that does the equivalent, because surely there's going to be something out there. And if it doesn't exist, steal it, Liam. Everyone's always stealing your ideas.
What do you mean steal? I've just thought of it.
You just delete this.
No one listens to the last 5 minutes.
Okay, brilliant. The next one, you seem to do all the notes for the beginning of this.
Yeah, it's the way we go. So we discuss something similar last week? So Zynga acquired. Zanga. Yeah, I don't know why, but that's the Y, I guess. Acquires another word. Extra.
Maybe.
Games. So they're the Torchlight 3 devs. We discussed a free-to-play game.
We discussed... Zanga were in... I think we talked about Zanga were looking to buy, though they had an announcement coming. And it was I can't remember what it was rumoured, but this makes sense because Torchlight 1 was very well received. A lot of people really enjoyed it. It's a great little game. It was, I guess, a more casual Diablo type clone, and it was so incredibly well received. And then Torchlight 2 happened, and there were a lot of updates and upgrades, not quite as well received. And then they announced Torchlight, I can't remember, it's like Torchlight Outer Worlds it was called or something like that to start off with. It was a mobile game. It was going to be a free-to-play mobile game. So that was the direction they were going anyway. And then after it being really poorly received and obviously the fan base hating it, they went back and it's like, oh, we're now going to do, it's going to be Torchlight 3 that we're making. And it's going to be just like all the other Torchlights. But literally all the betas and everyone that got to play it was pointing out the fact that it was clearly a mobile game that they'd converted into a game that you had to pay for.
So it seems like that's...
Yeah, so anyway. It seems like it was like their last hurrah in the fact that they were hoping they could break into that market. It didn't go particularly well, and it was just downhill from there. So they tried to recoup the costs that they could, brought out a paid-for game, didn't get overly well received, and I guess put themselves up for sale or got acquired by Zynga. Yeah. And it's almost a perfect match because they're in the mobile space anyway, so...
Yeah, it works for both parties. I just feel like Zynga are going to be probably one of the biggest game companies in the world right now, from what I've seen. If you imagine how many mobile games they actually own, like they're about 7 of the top 10 games are them.
Yeah, and the big money makers as well. Yeah, the revenue from mobile gaming and microtransactions, everything else is absolutely insane. And it's crazy because you always look and think, oh, gamers, people playing on their PCs or consoles, but actually one of the biggest gaming segments now is mobile gaming in terms of the revenue and the turnover and everything. And ultimately that's why a lot of PC games and console games have tried to emulate that live service type thing, games as a service, which I hate. So
I'm not a fan of it, but it's where it's going, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it will be interesting to see what happens there.
I think the next one's yours.
Yeah, so the UK opening up an antitrust investigation into Apple as well. So this will be interesting because Apple seem to have... they've got lawsuits on all fronts at the moment. So obviously there are some in America. The EU have opened up their antitrust investigations into Apple. Now the UK are doing so as well. And it's all for a mixture of reasons. So the predominant theme is, are Apple abusing their power in terms of the App Store and in terms of what they're showing off to people? And there are obviously big developers like Epic, for example, that want the App Store to be more open so they can serve their own platforms and their own storefronts on it, which some people will agree with, some people will not agree with. But yeah, there's just...
So is it almost like... I like it when you do this stuff because I've got no idea about it. So is it kind of like because Apple almost have a monopoly and they take so much money from the App Store? Is that what the antitrust's about? Or
so the antitrust is more towards, in the UK case anyway, was more towards the fact that it starts with its own applications on there, so it's impossible to compete realistically. You think about it, Apple Music is already installed on your iPhone, so as a user you're most likely going to use Apple Music. But then the other big problems you've got are because Apple have now moved into these service spaces. So beforehand it wasn't so much of an issue because they had the App Store, that was their platform, and someone like Spotify could come along and go, hey, we've got this music streaming service, we're going to sell it, and we're going to have a subscription. Apple, here's your 30%, that's fine. We're going to charge $9.99 a month. And then a few years later, Apple have come along and gone, hey, we're going to bring in Apple Music and we're going to charge $8.99 a month because we don't have to pay the 30% fee that you do, Spotify. So they're going to take away the same amount. So Apple always will have a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
They'll also have things like sales data and business data and all of that justify whether or not they should move into a space. And it's right down to things like Apple Fitness. They will know because they'll have the data to say, well, actually, yes, it's a good space for you to move into. And you can undercut all of your competition because it's a difficult thing because what do you do? How do you fix that? And my thoughts behind it are that for example, Amazon ultimately have always served ebooks, and that was it. People would publish their ebooks on Amazon. And just, I think 18 months, 2 years ago, Amazon brought out their own publishing service. So they became a publisher, and they started publishing authors' works under Amazon's brand. And ultimately, that means they can undercut the competition because they don't have to pay the fees and everything else there. So what do you do about that? My opinion is that when someone like that moves into that space, the fees should just be waived.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like
yeah.
Apple goes, right, we want to play in the music space, so we're going to have Apple Music. It's going to be a subscription service. Anybody else competing in that space now shouldn't have to pay fees or a lower rate. I don't know how it would work or anything like that.
Make it the same cost as what?
It has to, because ultimately Apple have a competitive edge. Amazon have a competitive edge. Any of those providers have a competitive edge. And this is why all of these antitrust cases are popping up left, right, and centre. So it's an interesting issue to have, and I suppose it's a nice one for them to have ultimately because they're doing so well and they're ultimately dominating. And yeah, there's so many things, and I'll be interested to see what happens in the future because there are all sorts of things about does the Apple Store have to open up? Should people be able to basically take payment through another provider? Because that's the other one that a lot of them seem to be going for, is that Spotify, for example, should have a link within Spotify where someone could sign up and subscribe to Spotify. Apple doesn't allow that. You're not allowed to pay for it elsewhere. We'll see.
Is it kind of like, it's not completely the same, but a while ago, Microsoft wasn't allowed to just put Internet Explorer on their computers, because they had the monopoly, and so they had to put the option. Is that a similar thing?
It's similar sort of thing. The only thing is, back then, Microsoft had like 90% install base for everything, and this is where then Apple fights back against everything else because iOS isn't the predominant mobile platform. Android is.
Oh, okay, so they've got more of
it's difficult in that respect, but ultimately iOS is on 100% of iPhones. But it's the same sort of thing that as the market grows, you can't serve it, and people should have a choice. And France have literally just opened a case against Apple for something similar, where they advertise their own products within the iPhone or iPad ecosystem, so they'll advertise things like Apple Card and stuff like that. And there's so many different arguments for it because you can sit and say, well, it's their platform on their phone. Why should they not be allowed to? But then, how does anyone ever compete as that grows? So,
Well, let's move on because that's some heavy stuff.
It certainly is. It's bigger than either of us. Yeah.
Let's not get sued. So the next one's an exciting one, hopefully. So there's going to be an open world AAA Dungeons & Dragons RPG in development by Hidden Path. And I didn't know who Hidden Path were, so a little more digging. They were best known for working alongside Valve and Counter-Strike.
Okay.
Possibly the biggest esport in the world, I would say right now. That's what they are. But this is exciting because Dungeons & Dragons games are fun. They're really fun. The RPG element, so hopefully it'll be a better Skyrim. You know, Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out soon, which is pretty much Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how it goes because you hear AAA and you hear Dungeons and Dragons and you know it's probably going to be crap. Just a lot of the time, a lot of developers attempt it and they deliver something. I guess they try to mash tabletop and something akin to that works on a PC, and it just never seems to quite get pulled off particularly well. Larian's done it well, obviously developers behind Baldur's Gate and Divinity. So, you know, it'd be interesting to see. But in other Dungeons and Dragons related news, Hugh Grant is going to be the antagonist of the new up-and-coming Dungeons and Dragons film.
You know what? I like that. I really like Hugh Grant.
I do as well.
This is not on subject at all.
It's not. It's not even in the knowns.
No. But True Detective. Have you watched True Detective?
No.
Oh, it's amazing. Series one's amazing. The other one's okay. But it's a really gritty detective show. I just think Hugh Grant would be such a good dark character. Yeah. Like his acting, he would be so good as like a dark detective dealing with all these murders, just like his whole Britishness of it. But I think he'll be a really good antagonist. Like he hasn't acted in anything since The Gentleman by Guy Ritchie.
I have no idea. I don't follow him that closely, Liam, but you are
I'm not
showing your fanboyism.
But yeah, I'm happy. I'm more excited for that than the game, to be honest.
Apparently so. I mean, I mentioned it thinking you'd be like, oh, stop, what are you talking about? And then,
No,
wow, you
I have a
are.
lot of respect for Hugh Grant. In my head, it was always Hugh Grant and
Okay.
who played Snape? Alan Rickman, obviously.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
But they would have been such a good, dark British True Detectives. If
Well,
the watchers of True Detectives, or if the creators of True Detectives are watching, I'll be a casting director.
Okay, well, there we go. Liam is now leaving the Bolton Gamers to become a casting director. So
I'll
that
do
is...
this as well, on the side.
Okay, thanks. At least. Brilliant. So, why did we get this one on here? Because it was done by the US and the EU. So, big gaming news. Microsoft and ZeniMax deal approved by the US Securities and Exchange Commission. And then the reason I got confused just then is the EU has also approved the $7.5 billion Bethesda acquisition. So...
very big news.
It's very big news. That is very big. Very big.
Yeah, this is possibly the biggest gaming news of my life, I think. I can't think of anything which would have affected me bigger.
Okay.
Just because, obviously, well, there's a whole section on this, so we'll just blast through it. But obviously, Bethesda do Fallout and the Elder Scrolls games.
They do so many. Every time I think of Bethesda, I always think, oh, it's Skyrim and Fallout. But God,
Doom.
Yeah, Doom. There's so many different titles and so many things that they publish. It's just absolutely insane. So,
what one did they do? They did that Assassin one.
We're Dishonored.
Dishonored.
Yeah, Dishonored. Dishonored. They popped up the game I loaded up. Wolfenstein. And then there's loads that they like cross-publish. There's another game that I loaded up the other day that must have been acquired by Bethesda because it definitely wasn't Bethesda at the time when I originally played it. So yeah, they're really, really, I guess, massive in terms of repercussions here. And plans, they've announced that more plans will be coming this week. So we will find out more about what's actually going to be happening because there's so many questions behind this about what's next. Are they going to bring forward any titles? Is stuff going to go Xbox and PC exclusive? And it is. So Phil Spencer has confirmed that today there will be some PC and Xbox exclusives with Bethesda titles, which surely comes as no surprise.
Yeah, like that was always going to happen. So it's a big bonus for PC gamers and Xbox gamers. It's just a shame. Like PlayStation gamers are probably the ones who are the only ones losing out right now.
Yep, massively so. And yeah, I know when the news originally hit, a lot of PlayStation forums and everything just absolutely exploded with people basically kicking off and were really disappointed with the idea of a lot of these titles and everything going ultimately PC and Xbox exclusive. Well, the thing is, Sony have been doing this for such a long time now, publishing and just not publishing to different platforms. It's a more recent thing that they started to open it up. So I guess we'll see. I mean,
what they have said is games which have already been promised to the PS5, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, are still going to be exclusives. But they said that a while ago. They didn't say that with this announcement, so they can change that.
I think they'll probably they'll have contracts and something that they still need to stick to, and it probably as a thing of goodwill, I would imagine that they still would, because it just seems stupid to burn bridges that badly. But yeah, what Phil Spencer had said was that Xbox Game Pass, Xbox and PC would ultimately be the home of gaming and the place that you want to go, and it kind of makes sense if you can suddenly get all of these new titles on Game Pass, on Xbox and on PC, and then they bring the streaming platforms as well. So the streaming platform has been really, really aggressively worked on as well. The fact that we're going to see 1080 streaming soon. There's going to be PC streaming. There's going to be streaming to iPhone, to iPad. To be able to play all of these brand new games on pretty much any of the devices apart from PlayStation that you want to be able to play them on.
It's a massive bonus, especially day one release as well. Like you have Game Pass, pay your £8, you get Elder Scrolls 6 the day it comes out without paying anything extra. That's amazing. That's enough for me to do it.
Well, and I think as well that they could very quickly turn this against Sony in terms of making them out to be the bad guy, because they said that they'd love to have Game Pass on the Switch. Obviously, that's now in Nintendo's court as to whether or not they would allow that. So those people who sit and go, I want my Bethesda games and I want those exclusives that they've got, Microsoft would just turn around and go, well, you can have them, but you need to tell Sony because they won't let us put Game Pass on there. And of course they won't let them put Game Pass on there. They're not crazy. But they could change the narrative very quickly.
Yeah, it's a shame for kind of world we're in. Like both PlayStation and Microsoft heads have said the worst thing about modern day gaming is not colonialism. People being like so heavily dependent on one being like, no, PlayStation for life, just PlayStation. They said that's the worst thing. Obviously, they probably don't care that much because they're still making loads of money from it. But if they just, I don't want them combined because I do want that competitiveness. If they combine, it'll just be a mush and then a monopoly. It'd be worse for wear. But there needs to be something where they can just combine a PC. Stream it all on PC. There we go.
Yeah, and maybe that is, as game streaming starts to take off in the future, you'll start to see game streaming platforms rather than hardware-focused exclusives and everything, because that would probably make the most sense.
Yeah, 10 years ago, if you said to me the majority of games you own would be digital, you won't own the disc, I would be like, nah, that's awful. I like having the disc. But now, it's just plastic. It's bad for the environment. The only bonus of having a disc is you can resell it, and even then you get hardly anything. So it is like it's going to be streaming in pretty soon. Well, it's already there. It's just going to be more.
You look at the outcry that came was the Microsoft when they announced the Xbox One, and originally it was just the digital edition, and everybody just went crazy because people just weren't ready for it, and now it's just like these digital editions of both the consoles. It's a case of okay, fine, that's
it's the world we're going in.
Yeah, exactly. So streaming will be, as obviously the internet gets better and people have better connections and 5G becomes more widely available and less of a lie, then you know what, then that's just going to be the way we go.
Yeah.
So let us know in the comments what your thoughts on that are. You know, are you worried if you're a PlayStation user, are you worried that you're going to lose out on the ability to play some of these upcoming games? And if you're an Xbox or PC gamer, lots to be excited about, I guess. My thing that I'm hoping that we might see some more, because they said they're going to announce their plans or more about their plans this week, is I wonder if they will move up things like Elder Scrolls 6 in terms of schedule, because it's still, according to Bethesda originally, it wasn't going to be launching until like 2025 or something ridiculous. Do you think we've got Starfield, whatever the space game is that was coming out, and then I believe it was going to be the Elder Scrolls. So
well, hopefully with the backing of Microsoft, it'll
exactly. And I'm not saying that I want them to rush the development or anything like that, but it's been a very long time since we had the Elder Scrolls, like a very long time. Skyrim, PlayStation 3.
It's mental.
Which I think that's crazy.
I don't know how worried I am because I was a bit of a PlayStation fanboy, but now playing PC, I'm not awfully fussed. But games like Skyrim, it was sitting on the sofa, leaning back with a controller, playing Skyrim on a big screen was amazing. So I will miss it. And like I said before, the best thing about the PS5 right now is the controller. So to not have that implemented could be a shame. Like imagine some really good bow and arrow haptic feedback, but we'll see.
Exactly, we shall see. So moving swiftly on, so all the rumours and leaks now seem to point that Apple will be having an event on March the 23rd. So there were lots of rumours floating around that they would be having an event in March, and it seems to get knocked back and forth, whereas now it seems a pretty solid thing that's going to be going ahead on the 23rd. And it's the same old stuff that's rumoured every single time, that we will see AirTags. I don't even want to talk about AirTags because they've been rumoured for, like 3 years? Every time an Apple event gets rumours like, we're going to see AirTags. You know what? We will see AirTags when we bloody see AirTags.
I'll create them.
You'll create them. See, there's going to be the new iPad. The new iPad is pretty much a dead cert at this stage. So, be the new iPad Pro, 12.9 inch. I'm going to be getting the new mini LED displays, so much brighter, much better contrast, much better in terms of battery. So that'll be interesting to see. New Imax, hopefully. They've just discontinued the iMac Pro, so that is no longer available to order. So hopefully we will see some new iMacs with the M1 processors in there. Whether or not we'll see an M1Z or an M1X, I guess time shall tell.
We'll find out,
Yeah, and then I think the new entry-level iPad as well, which I guess would make sense.
I hope, honestly, I'm not overly excited for this reveal. It doesn't do anything for me. Like you said, it's the same stuff every year.
Yeah.
It's never anything new. I like the surprise of it, but I want the new entry-level iPad to have just a smaller bezel. Like, if you look at a 10.5 iPad compared to the iPad Air, which is 10.9,
yeah.
Like, the bezel is huge. It's probably bigger than the Air, so just that's the only thing I want. Will they do it? We'll find out, because
I don't think
get
they
why
would.
it's big.
Yeah, it's such a low
Cost.
entry-level cost at the end of the day for really good internal hardware. The thing that I'm hoping for, see, the iPad Pro, I want to see become Pro this year, because I have an iPad Pro 2018 model. I absolutely love it, but there is just so many limitations in terms of it actually replacing my MacBook or really forming a true part of my workflow. And to get some of those Pro applications, they've shown how good the M1 processors can be in a fanless design that's low powered. Let's just stick that in an iPad Pro, stick some decent RAM in there, and give us a decent device. And I'm one of them savages, I've said this in another video, I would love to see a 15-inch iPad Pro.
You're disgusting.
I know the Surface Book does it, and 15-inch.
15-inch. You could surf on that. What are you on about?
Maybe I could. I don't think I could surf, but
no, I don't think you're far. Well, you're probably quite buoyant.
Well, there we go. That's all right then. But I just think they're thin, they're light, combined with the Magic Keyboard and everything else that they're trying to push. If it has Pro applications, everything else, using it as an external monitor from a MacBook, it just would hit so many of the right spots for me.
I think a 15-inch. To be honest, it probably would be quite good. I don't think I would ever use it.
Yeah.
It would be good as an additional monitor, and that's an expensive additional monitor.
Oh, a very inexpensive one.
With the Magic Keyboard, all of the videos I've seen on the proper Magic Keyboard with the hinge, it's heavier than the iPad.
That's true.
So, and it's more expensive. That I always forget, my iPad Pro is the same price as my MacBook. In my head.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
It's the same price.
And
so...
Especially with M1 Max now, because you can get the M1 MacBook Air for what, $999?
Yeah.
Which then you suddenly get an iPad Pro, slap on a Magic Keyboard. You're paying a lot for
for a heavier device.
Yeah, you can do less.
It's got touchscreen, obviously. That's a bonus, and you can have it as an iPad. And I still think the iPad's probably one of the best things I have.
Yeah,
it's amazing. But would I pay that much? No, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I think at this stage it's very hard to justify for that sort of thing. The new Imax, I'm very intrigued to see, because the Imax haven't had a redesign in a very, very long time. It's like 8 years.
The Imax one for the all in the monitor.
Yes, yeah. So basically 8 years of that same design, and the bezels. You say the bezels on the entry level iPad are big, but the bezels on the iMacs are just insane. And if they can get, obviously, desktop form and more cores in there using the M1 processor, it could be a real powerhouse. And I don't know why, but I would like one. And it just seems like I've said this before, and every time then I think about why would I like one, it's like, it doesn't make sense, because realistically what I could do is get a really nice monitor and a Mac Mini, or I could just not be a silly Apple fanboy and just get a really nice monitor and then just plug my MacBook into the monitor and have the same sort of thing. But I think I will be drawn to it. And to be fair, for the channel, I'm going to use the channel to justify it. It'd be good to have one to unbox and to actually be hands-on pretty much on the day it releases, because we weren't able to do that with the M1 Max because we just weren't in a position to.
Because we're not big enough, no.
Just...
How much would it be? Just any idea?
$1,000, $10.99.
No, shut up. I said that like I'm super rich.
Let's throw away change, Sean. I'll have 5 of them. But yeah, the current 24-inch one I think starts at $10.99, so I would imagine it will come in about the same. Because when you consider everything you get with it as well.
Would you end up replacing your PC with it? Well, not replacing, but would that stop you from upgrading your PC eventually, or would you just eventually go full Mac?
I'd never go full Mac because of gaming.
No. Never go full Mac.
Never go full Mac. Never go full Mac. It would probably be a device that sits upstairs in the office.
Yeah.
So I would use it, and Sarah would be able to use it as well.
Fair.
Whereas down here is pretty much the gaming stuff, and my MacBook just seems to always go up and down the stairs. Yeah. Like I said, it's one of those things I absolutely do not need, and the more and more I think about it from a logical perspective, it's like, nah, don't do it. Just don't be stupid.
The bonus of me buying this MacBook is that Emma uses it a lot more than I thought she would.
Yeah.
But But yeah, it's a really handy. It's portable. You can take it around. Imax don't appeal to me. Yeah. I don't see the appeal.
But Tim Cook's going to sit there and he's going to be like, we've got something so incredibly magic for you. And we think you're going to love it. And I'm going to be like, I do love it. I love it so much. I will pre-order one now. So
we'll live stream it again. And the difference would be Sean's face would be this. And I'll just be like...
Yeah, it'd probably be like that. Exactly. So, yeah, 23rd of March is most likely going to be the Apple event. Like I said, we'll see AirTags. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. New iPad Pro, hopefully with Pro tools available as well. Things like Final Cut Pro.
Yeah, that would make
so much
the
sense.
iPad amazing. To proper editing on there, to be able to like zoom in and use your finger. Even the pencil would be amazing on an iPad. So
Apple TV as well. So apparently we'll finally see the upgraded Apple TV. I don't know why I forgot that one. But again, that one has been rumoured for like the past 4 events that we will see the entry-level Apple TV and a gaming-level Apple TV. And we're just not seeing any of this materialise. No. Personally, I think it's down to chip shortages.
Yeah, I suppose. How long have chip shortages been a thing? To me, it's only kicked in like with the 30 series graphics cards and the AMD.
Even leading up to like M1 and everything as well. And I guess they've had to put all of everything into obviously creating A14 and the M1 stuff as well. So time will tell. Who knows? Who knows what they will announce? But I guess that kind of gives you a flavour. So let us know again in the comments. Are you excited for anything that Apple has to announce in the future? If they do it might not even happen.
Predict as well. Predict below.
Predict, let us know. Predict.
If you get something right, you get a thumbs up from me and Sean.
Oh, if you get something wrong, you get thumbs down.
Oh,
when you don't want a thumbs down, no, it really hurts. No. Really hurts. So next, Surface Laptop 4 is rumoured to be getting AMD processors. And this is, I suppose, relatively big news because everything has been Intel up until very recently. And a lot of the big complaints from a lot of the big sort of like tech blogs, tech reviewers and everything has been that AMD have been making some absolutely killer processors that you can put into your desktops, and you can get them on laptops, but a lot of the time those laptops have always been entry-level to mid-range stuff. There's not really been any of the flagship stuff. And it's only very recently that AMD processors have started showing up in the flagship. I don't even know what that means.
I love the flagship.
Flagship level stuff. So Surface Laptop 4 rumoured to be getting that. So that will be interesting to see how it turns out.
Will be interesting. When I first read this, I was just thinking, you know what? Intel just can't catch a break. Apple disappear. Now Surface go back to just their processors, but it'll be good. It'll be interesting. Like you said, AMD seem to be knocking everything out of the park right now. So if this is utilized well, good for Surface.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think it'll make much of a difference to Intel because Surface isn't going to make up that much. And it's same with Apple as well. I remember when that initially happened, and a lot of the Apple lot was like, deaf to Intel. It's like, it doesn't make much difference to them. You know, it doesn't make that much. It doesn't make that much of their overall income and everything. So, competition is always a good thing to have. Ultimately, you've got so much competition on different fronts, and Intel haven't had that for such a long time. So now it's good to see them under some pressure because it means they've got to innovate. They've just got to do something to change it. So we shall see.
They'll bring prices down as well.
Don't be stupid. Scalpers still exist.
Whoa. Not stupid. Optimistic, Sean.
Okay. Stop being optimistic. Scalpers still exist.
It's rare for me to be optimistic.
That is true. Liam is like... you could probably tell it from some of his videos, the way he just introduces and there's less energy. Yeah, that's it. He's doing the impression he does now as he introduces them. Whereas me, I'm kind of on... Maybe it's just caffeine high or lack of sleep high. I have 2 children, so...
Yeah, I think you're closer to death. So you need to make more of life.
Yeah, I do. I need to embrace these last moments I have, apparently. Thank you very much, Liam.
Wait till I turn 39, then...
I'm not 39.
Sorry, 42.
Oh, shut up. Right, moving swiftly on. So, it is now finally been confirmed that Apex Legends for the Nintendo Switch will run at 30 frames per second. And originally when I saw this, I was like, 30 frames per second handheld, that makes sense. Nope, it's handheld and in docked mode. So, in docked mode, it'll run at 720p, and in handheld, it'll run at 576p.
Yeah, I mean, handheld, fine. Yeah, I've got no issues with that. If the screen's so small, it's not going to make a difference. Yep. That's going to work fine. But docks, like if you have a what an average size TV.
I
Like,
know,
if you have a 40-inch
crazy.
TV, 720p is going to be gash. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to look
It's gonna be really bad.
so bad. And I mean, 30 frames per second. If you play it on the Nintendo Switch, you're probably not used to that high of a frame rate, so that's not going to affect you too much. Is that elitist?
That's savage. I mean, I thought you loved your Nintendo.
I do love Nintendo, but I'm a realist.
But to be fair, so the developers have also disabled crossplay, so you can enable crossplay to play on other platforms, but they have, because they're worried about obviously people getting destroyed by obviously consoles run at 60 frames per second, and then PCs run up to like a gazillion frames per second. So it's something they've had to take into consideration, the fact that it's not going to be able to necessarily compete. So
I think it will be really good, to be honest.
I think so. When it's down to that small of a display,
that will be difficult to aim on.
Yeah,
those small Joy-Cons will be a struggle. If you have a Pro Controller, it'll be amazing.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's good. It's coming to the Switch cross-platform. If you want it, like we said, you'll just don't. Unless you want a challenge, unless you want the Dark Souls of first-person shooters, don't. But yeah, it's just good news. It's obviously, we didn't expect 4K resolution.
Oh no, of course not. But if you do expect 4K resolution, the Switch Pro rumours have reared their ugly heads again, and apparently the Switch Pro will most likely be coming out towards the back end of this year, so just in time for Christmas, to ruin your wallets. So these rumours, and taken with a grain of salt, seem to suggest that we will see exclusive titles on the Switch Pro, which a lot of people say, I don't think, that's not going to happen, Nintendo wouldn't do that. Of course they would. They did it with the DS. Like the DS was out,
and then
they had like the DSi, and that had some exclusive titles, and then there was like the 3DS, and then the 3DS something or other, and you had to have the more powerful version of it.
Yeah. Or you could buy a plug-in. They even did it with Nintendo 64.
Yeah, you could buy that update.
Buy for extra memory because they couldn't be bothered to fix a bug. That's what that was.
Yeah. Exactly. So Nintendo are known for doing mid-life cycle upgrades to get the longest possible thing out of their consoles. Personally, I would much rather see them do just a Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah.
At this stage, because
depends what the Pro's like, though. Right? So I would like a bigger screened Switch.
Yep.
With better Joy-Cons. I don't know if I would buy it. I've not touched my Switch for about half a year.
No, I've not. I'll play it once to get Monster Hunter. That's going to make me play it again. But yeah, the rumours seem to be that it'll have a bigger display, but in the same form factor. It should be able to use the same Joy-Cons as well, but it will be able to output like 1080p in handheld and up to 4K in docked mode.
Okay.
Which would be interesting. I would imagine. I think a good move for Nintendo would just be that any games that are existing on there will be able to take advantage of the new hardware.
Yeah.
And then any games that used to be cloud-based only could then be opened up to run on the Switch. So if you already bought them on the cloud, then you'd be able to play them.
Yeah, but we know what Nintendo's like for things like that. Yeah. We discuss this so much. All Nintendo needs to do is bring all of the 3DS, all their previous history.
Oh, God.
It can't be difficult.
Yeah, stop talking dirty to me.
Just, surely they're saved somewhere. Modders can do it. You can emulate the games, so you can put them on a bloody Switch. Yeah. I would pay full money for Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. I would pay.
Yeah, it seems odd, because obviously I know that they're doing a lot of remakes and remasters and everything, but surely, there's going to be people who would buy Ocarina of Time now for the Switch, and then even if in a year, 2 years' time they did a remake or remaster or whatever, they would probably buy that as well. It's not necessarily going to take away from that fan base. And I said we're currently in the process of doing a video as to whether or not the 2DS and 3DS is still worthwhile playing in 2021. And spoiler, it is, because there are so many good titles. And I would just standard Pokemon. I'd like to play a good Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch, because there just aren't any. Sword and Shield was interesting, and Let's Go was bizarre. I would just love to be able to play Silver and Gold, and they were on the old Virtual Console. Why can we not just have them ported across onto the Switch?
You could play them on the Wii, couldn't you?
Yeah. And the Wii U had it. So it's like they had the Virtual Console. You could play them on the Wii U, and everybody expected, and that was going to happen on the Switch. And it's one of the reasons I never played most of these games on my 2DS when I got it, because there were a few things that I did play, and I was like, well, they're going to come out for my Switch. I've got my Switch. They're going to have a Virtual Console, so I'll be able to pick them up on there. And obviously, it's just never happened.
I was thinking about the 2DS. Sorry, Sean, I interrupted you.
You did. It's okay. I was going to say,
you
I know we've got.
Time, right?
Oh, that's fine. And I was going to say, I know we've gone off topic, and then you can go on to your bit.
Oh, was that it?
No, that was it. Yeah.
So I was thinking about I think one of the first things we probably properly talked about when we started working together was the 2DS. Yes. And you had for 2DS, and I was like, oh yeah, I kind of want to get one, Sean. And you were like, oh, wait for a Switch because all the games will come out on it. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I'll wait for a Switch. Yeah. Got a Switch. I'm still waiting. You owe me a 2DS.
I do owe you a 2DS, apparently. But the thing is, it's not even as though... I can't see them being like, well, we can't bring it out because then everyone would expect just to be able to play the games they've already bought. Because Nintendo make you buy them every single time. Every generation you have to rebuy your games. So it's not as though that's an issue. It just seems logical. And I remember when it originally happened. Yeah, there's literally no downside. Because they don't make the 2DS or 3DS anymore. You know, there's just a report that they can't repair a lot of 2DS and 3DSs in Japan because they no longer have the parts. They don't make them anymore. So...
Yeah, I've looked at buying one, and like you can't like
unless you go on eBay
website.
Yeah,
but you can't get them. So yeah,
it just makes no sense at all. There's a lot of games that are out of print, and I could maybe understand it a bit more if it's, I don't know. No, it doesn't make sense because most of those games just aren't available. And like now, if you want to play the new Bravely Default 2, which has just come out, but you're like, oh, actually, I want to play the first one, so I know where the series is up to, and I want to catch up. You can't, unless you buy it all second hand. So it's just bizarre. I know we've gone off on a big tirade there, but just
well, let's finish it with some good news.
Yes.
Also just commented.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 High Fidelity Pokemon Red 8K 3D make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Boom. We will. We'll take that on board, Lance. That's us all over.
I mean, Pokemon Blue is superior, so you've. Points detected for that.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I was going to say is that makes me think that the Switch Pro is probably coming is simply the fact that, like, Pokemon Arceus, the open world game, it's Sword and Shield just struggle. It might
Arceus.
Be Arceus or Arceus. I don't know. It's one of those things. But Sword and Shield could barely run on a Nintendo Switch, which makes me think if they go full open world, there's just no way. So whether or not we'll get some more gameplay footage and everything towards the Switch Pro, or when they announce the Switch Pro, they go, hey, boom, exclusive to Switch Pro, and every Pokemon fan goes, ah! I was going to try and make one of the original Pokemon sprite noises, when they come out, but kind of like...
It's just noise, isn't it?
Yeah,
there's no logic behind it. Anyway, we
move on quick. Move on.
I wasn't even meant to mention that. So, final news for, unless Sean has anything secret to add, is Germany could be about to ban games with loot boxes being sold to children. So Germany has a law saying children can't gamble, which makes sense. Everyone's got that law. They're going to try and change this law to make it specific for loot boxes, which is really good news. It'll be a brilliant news. However, like everyone can just change their age on consoles. Everyone can just be like, on Steam, I'm 206. I've been alive for a while. You just scroll down, but it's a very good first step to like things like FIFA, Overwatch, I guess. But Germany about to ban that.
And I know that obviously the UK government they started the first steps towards this. I think beginning of last year, and they sent out numerous surveys.
Was it Battlefront 2 which started it?
I think it was something ridiculous. One of the games came out and there were so many complaints about it to like the Advertising Commission and stuff that the government had to step in, and they did numerous studies with parents and families to understand the impact of in-app purchases and loot boxes. And it just makes sense. It is predatory what they do.
What will they stop Pokemon cards though?
We had this discussion at the time, and I think you were a bit panicked.
I would be furious. I mean, I'm a grown-up, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and again, part of that discussion that we had back then was the fact that they do, you know, I think it was Wizards of the Coast, when they were under investigation, it was found that they were hiring like psychologists who were basically there to help them make it more addictive in terms of what they did. And I guess, yeah, how do you combat that? And you could, I suppose you could have you can buy the full set. And if you want to buy boosters that top up your set, then you can do that.
Yeah, I suppose you can buy the individual cards if you want to spend a fortune.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, but you can't buy them officially. You always have to buy them through some random place. So, you know, if you could go to, I don't know, Pokemon cards and say, right, I want to buy, the new set's just come out and I'd like a completed set, please, for my collection. Can I buy it? That would help to get around it.
Yeah, I suppose, like, that could work, but then it would lose a lot of its joy for me, because it is like, oh, I've got the shiny Charizard. Like, this is worth £500. So, it's one of those things. I was thinking, like, Hearthstone actually does it quite well. I've got a love-hate relationship with Hearthstone, but you still open the packs, you get a legendary card, and you're like, oh, amazing. And then if you need a legendary card, you need to craft one, and they're all the same cost. I don't know how you'd implement that in real life. Like, there'll be no way to actually do it, thinking of it.
Yeah, but there would be a way to do it. You'd have ultimately, the way they print them is they only print so many Charizards, so a very small amount, and then so many loads of these other cards. So you just have an equal print for all your rares. There would be the exact same number of legendaries and the exact same number of rares, so that you wouldn't have these issues like with, was it Hidden Fates, with the Black Charizard came out and it was like, oh my god, if you get that, it's worth like £10,000.
I wish.
Fixed it.
Let's phone Pokemon. Let's two
phone
Pokemon things.
No, they don't want this to happen though. This would be,
no.
Oh god, they're going to kill me in my sleep.
Yeah, put Snorlax on you.
Or that, or Age will. One of them. Get in there before you do. So
I would never do that.
So yeah, that's basically our news. We fixed a couple of things tonight. We have fixed. Obviously, we're going to get all of the old school 2DS and 3DS titles moved onto the Switch. That's going to be our new mission. We're going to have the new 8K 3D remaster. We're going to ban loot boxes, apparently. That's going to be one thing that we're taking on board. And that last thing there, we're going to fix the randomness of Pokemon cards. That would spoil it for me, so we're not doing that.
I would hate it, yeah.
I would hate it. Yeah. I don't want to open any Pokemon cards ever again because it's just too addictive. We do need to fix it. It's so addictive. It's outrageous. I'm a grown-up. No, we're not buying Pokemon cards. We are not buying Pokemon cards.
If anyone wants to watch a Pokemon card opening stream, comment below.
Because no, absolutely do not.
Anyone that says yes, that's all I need. I'm such an addict. I'm relapsing bad.
Don't encourage them. Do not encourage the audience, because if people start commenting that, then that is the sort of thing that we'd end up doing. Yeah, once a week we'll do a Pokemon booster box unboxing, and then we'll.
I never said once a week. Now this is your. This is you.
Is it? I'm falling down that. I'm falling down that rabbit hole. Ooh.
But yeah, if anyone wants that, comment below. We'll do a Pokemon card opening stream.
Boom. Well, there you go. You heard it here first. So we will be back next week, 8 p.m. GMT, because I remembered it this time. We are going to be doing this on YouTube from now on, so you know, obviously you're picking this up on Spotify. If you are watching the reruns on Facebook, wherever else, we post it afterwards. Bought 5 packs the other day for my daughter. Lance. Oh, that's dangerous territory. That's somebody now has commented that someone bought Pokemon cards.
Did your daughter open a really rare one? Because I would just stress. Can you imagine? Like, imagine Logan opening and finding like the Black Charizard. Just don't damage it.
Yeah, don't damage it.
Stay perfectly still.
Yeah, give me that right now. No, I want to play with it. No.
I did it. No. I'm having heart palpitations.
God, you don't even have kids or Pokemon cards to open.
Not yet. Pokemon cards, that is.
I was going to say, wow, we've got a revelation here. Wow, okay, well, I'm going to sign off quickly before we end up buying some. So thank you very much for watching. As always, like and subscribe, because it just helps the channel to grow. We seem to be on the up and up at the moment. We just need 1,000 subscribers. So if you can, share the channel. You know, share the love. Spread it about.
How many more do we need? Because you said 1,000, like we need 1,000.
Oh yeah, we don't need 1,000. We need to hit 1,000. We're at 700. No, we're at 674.
So we need about 300.
Yeah, basically about 300
friends in.
Yeah, exactly. Get your 300 friends in. We do seem to be growing about 150 a month, so we're getting there. We are getting there. And once we get to that point, YouTube starts paying us for ads and stuff, which means we can buy some Pokemon cards to satisfy Liam's addiction. There we go. Heard it here first. Boom.